And I'm joined for the 40k adjacent show by one of the sexiest men in all of Canada, Peter Colosimo, the Falcon. How are you?
Taka! Doing great, buddy. Doing great. Living the dream one day at a time. How are you?
Yeah? I'm good, thanks. Like I was just telling you before, just had a cracking game of Age of Sigmar with the wonderful Owen Jackson on the TTS, which is great. Like, I feel like I'm like just really getting my eye back in the game and enjoying myself, which is good. So, and I am very hyped for when 40k rolls around to do the same with 40k. I think like play a whole bunch of 40k and learn. So I'm good. I'm good. I've been painting. I've been working. I've been making videos. I don't think I could be happier. Apart from the state of the world, which
Yeah.
I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible without
hmm
also not being a good ally and like just ignoring things because I can, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
do my bit. Is what I'm trying to do. What about you? How have you been?
I'm everything the same except painting. I'm not doing that. I was. I got over it real quick. Playing a lot of Total War Warhammer 2 because of Val, so got that going under my belt. And other than that, watching some Netflix with the wifey at night. I finished Schitt's Creek. What a good series.
I've just started it.
You did?
Under your recommendation, as of last week, I started it. I'm on episode 3, so not very far, but I'm in.
No, it's a slow roll at first too. I find it ages like a fine wine as the seasons progress. Particularly like season 3 onward is incredible. They just do such a good job. Anyway, that's that. Just finished it. Moving on to other things, and yeah, I've got a couple of paint commissions on the go. I've got a guy here painting for me some Dreadnoughts and Invictor Warsuits because I had no interest. And so he's doing them up super nice. And yeah,
Oh, that's
just
nice. So what? I got a whole bunch of questions to ask you. Number one, what stuff is get painted? Like what legion? Sorry, or they're not called legions anymore, are they? Chapter. What chapter of Space
chapters.
Marine
Yeah.
are you feeling?
Well, I get everything done in like a Blood Angels scheme for the most part. I have a lot of like the Forge World transfers and things like that.
Mm.
So they're either red and gold or gold and red. That's kind of the shtick that I do for everything. So he's doing those up for me. I did up some custom bases for them because I don't mind putting models together. I actually really enjoy
Same.
modeling and getting like scenic things going. But painting them. I'm not super great. I would say I'm adequate. And B, it takes me forever. So just like my sex life is my painting skill. And so
What
yeah,
non-committal? Non-committal.
yeah,
Is that?
exactly. Been doing it for 14 years. Like all of it is exactly the same. So
Variance
yeah,
is danger at this stage. You might pull a muscle.
exactly. You got it. Like I'm an old man. And I've had 3 children, so I'm very careful about how I do this stuff.
Oh,
And
you've had them, have you? You've
yeah,
had them.
I feel like I've had them. Like yesterday morning, I felt like I was the one that produced these children. And then sometimes they're all hers. But anyway, that's a whole.
That's a whole
Ugh.
thing.
She's sleeping, so it's okay. But when she wakes up, man, she hears this stuff.
We're in trouble. I'm with you. I'm the same. I actually painting is a bit of a. I'm painting now actually while we're talking. Just as a just number one. Also, when I've been talking for a while on the stream, I get a bit handsy, so I need something to touch. So I'm doing a bit of painting right now. But yes, once this show's over, this will be to the side again for several hours or days. So painting is as laborious for me. And I'm painting a lot of change, and it feels like there's just bits on this guy forever. So
Yeah.
yeah, a bit much. But building stuff all day long, love
Oh
it,
yeah. Yeah.
love it. It's the
Oh
best bit. I wish you could just build stuff, and I mean, you've sent it off to someone to be painted. I can't do that actually, so never mind. Would you ever question Twitch chat and you? Would you ever want to buy it built and painted, as in Games Workshop sell it built and painted? That's always a question people love to talk about.
no, not for me. Well, no, no. Like it's part of the hobby. It feels intrinsic to it to at least build it. Um, like I'm okay with the painting side, like I said, because it takes me forever and because I'm not super great at it. So I've painted a lot of my army and it looks fine. Like I'm there. Luckily, like you can look at it from away and it looks like everybody else's. I'm no Jim Vessel though. So and I'm terrible with an airbrush, so that also doesn't help me.
Well, so you're not Jim, so you don't hate demons and the Demon
Oh,
Codex.
I do for all the same reasons. I think it was a piece of garbage, and I was really disappointed at what they got, other than Exalted Demons. But that's a whole like we could talk for an hour and a half about that.
Well, well, let's circle back to that in a bit then, because I'd be very interested to hear what you got to say. My other question was going to be, Total War. What faction are you playing? That's the real question. I'd like to
Well,
guess dwarves, but I don't think that's right. Oh no,
yeah, you're wrong. That is terrible. I play. I almost exclusively play Lizardmen because that was my fantasy army. I love them. I love everything about Lizardmen. I can talk about Lizardmen lore all day. Seraphon, whatever. I was a little disappointed about the Seraphon business, because end times, guys, end times for Warhammer Fantasy Battle, they did the Lizardmen dirty, and I was a little upset about it because all these other factions got super crazy heroes with awesome storylines. And other than Lord Croak having that badass paragraph at the end of the Lizardmen versus Skaven part, basically everybody else got done dirty. Like we got Teeny One got a blurb at a White Dwarf, and that was bad, and that was so disappointing. But like Total War Warhammer 2, Lizardmen, the Gorok expansion, playing with him, it's super broken, but it's so it feels so good because you get Lord Croak right away, and having Lord Croak at level 1 is absolutely dumb because you can just like walk Croak and Gorok into 200, 300 Skaven and kill them all, and it feels so good. Feels so
powerful.
Good. When you drop that Deliverance of Itza and everything around Gorok dies and it's just like cinematic explosion. Oh, I spit on my keyboard. I was so excited.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, in current Age of Sigmar, Croak plays very similar. Effectively exactly the same. He's a little bit different. He just sit on top of a Balewind and start just pewing out shots like they're going out of fashion. But it's not too dissimilar, and he's just as reviled in Age of Sigmar. So he's kept his power, is what I'm trying to say. He's still the man. Croak, Pete in the chat, Croak too strong. Imagine that. God.
Sorry, I was going to say Croak was not good back in Warhammer Fantasy Battle. He was a one-trick pony, and it wasn't a good trick.
I used him. I
did too. I did too, but not competitively. Like when I played competitively, but I was a dickhead when I played competitively. I made lists that weren't very fun to play against, so it was a whole. Lizardmen weren't fun to play against in Warhammer Fantasy Battle if you played them, unfortunately.
No, well, I did. I built a fun Croak list, like a Croaknado as we now know it. Back in the old days, it wasn't. It was good. I went 4-1 at an event. That's not bad, especially it was early on in my gaming career. So I didn't quite have that acumen that I do now, which I think is interesting. But yeah, like it was really fun. Okay, so Total War. That's I've had to uninstall it again because I get too much into it. It's too serious for me, especially as I did Total War for quite a bit where I wasn't really concentrated. I was just like clicking and then doing battles and trying to do the map than I was the battles. But now I've got into making my heroes amazing and getting them all the magic artifacts and just sending in one hero to just take out a flank, and he's just because they're basically so hard when you get them tough. Yeah. It's really fun. But again,
that's what I like about Gorok. It's super funny when you get him built up and he gets the Shield of Aeons, and then like you'll get like a Phoenix or something charge him by himself, and it'll die on the charge. Like it'll charge and just like collapse on the ground, and it's hilarious. It's hilarious to watch stuff like that happen because he like puts up his shield and it just like bonk and drops dead, and you like there's no animation. You don't know what happened. It just looks like a car crash. It feels good. Feels super good when that happens.
So we were talking off air. The big 40k gossip at the minute is the table sizes, of course.
Yeah. Whoa.
Whoa. What do you think? I've asked everyone else, but what are your thoughts?
Think it's going to be great. I've had a long time to process this possibility, and I think it's fine. I don't have any qualms with it. It's not like to me, it's not like they made it bigger. If they'd made it bigger as the and yes, guys, minimum quotation marks, doesn't matter. Like if they've been like we now want to play back on 8x4s or 8x6s. I think it was 8x4, like they did back in like third edition. Then maybe people should be really upset because that's a whole other ball of potatoes. Is that a saying? I don't know. And
a Caesar salad. It's a whole other Caesar salad.
It's a whole other Caesar salad. But sorry for the Irish in there, but the potatoes thing. I know it's. But yeah, like the cutting a foot off one end 4 inches. The 4 inches is awkward, and it's a stupid kill team thing that bothers me. But that bothers me more than anything is the cutting off like 4 inches on one end, but then being like, okay, well you got to do a full foot on the other. But it doesn't bother me at all. I think when we talked off air, I said when I first heard about it, and the rumor was from a person that I really had some good faith in, and this would have been like months ago. I was a little bummed because the game is so killy as it is right now. So taking in no other context other than how 8th edition has been, I was like, removing board space is not going to be super healthy for this game. But the more we've heard things coming out about the changes and that 9th is really its own edition, I'm pretty comfortable right now with the size change. I think it's going to be fine. It's going to speed up the game, and that is a big thing for me because the game is too slow. And I think anything that can speed up the game, and hopefully they've mitigated the problems with the smaller table, which, I mean, when you listen to the playtesters, they all seem to agree it's better. So we'll have to see. But yeah, no, I don't have any concerns. I'm going to cut up all my mats. I don't care what people think about me. I'm gonna get some scissors, an X-Acto knife.
I've actually already done it, and I've turned it into a shirt. All the spare bits into a shirt. Yeah, waistcoat actually. I guess is the technical term.
I was telling Pablo that they should do a buy 5 get 1 free. This I said on Chapter Tactics last night. Do a buy 5 get 1 free of 5x4 mats, but just sell 5 6x4 mats and show people how to cut them, and then they can. Tape extra foot from each one together. It would be great marketing.
Perfect marketing. Perfect. Well, I hope they don't get too much backlash from like the situation, because I do feel especially sometimes for the FLG guys, because I think that they're on the raggedy end of dealing with the customers.
They are.
And Games Workshop use them to deal with the customers as opposed to deal with them themselves. And I got a respect Reese and Frankie for stepping up to the plate and doing that every time, because that's but then similarly sometimes I do feel like somewhat people can shout at them a bit, because I feel that it's valid in some ways, but not them. I guess the people they're representing is what I'm trying to get at. But with that said, the mats being an issue, I think we're going to start seeing some more 40k news this week, which I'm hype about. And like you said, some new additions. But we've seen there's already going to be a new Fabius Bile and some pre-release
new
stuff
Fabius
this weekend.
Bile.
How are you feeling about that?
New Fabius Bile. Well, Custodies are in that book, so I feel trepidatious. I want it to be amazing because my golden boys are my boys. So as long as they didn't screw it up, I'm so excited. That's all. I don't care about Fabius. They showed off some of his rules. He gives a new chapter trait if you take him as your warlord. That seems cute. He himself, they upgraded slightly on the stats line, and they made the Rod of Torment actually somewhat decent. I hate anything with D3 damage. That's stupid, but whatever. Well, come on. Okay, guys, you want to make something feel good, and then you write lore about Fabius Bile bonking Keepers of Secrets and stuff on the head with it, and it causing them unimaginable pain, and then you give it a strength +1 D3 damage. Come on. What is that?
It's Ludo narrative, I think is the term.
Yeah.
I think is the term. That's what someone. I think Cabbage told me about that. So hyperbole is what it is. Narrative hyperbole. I'm excited for the Custodies. I think they're one of the factions that they did a really good job. Oh, hello. They did a really good job with.
There he is.
There he is. They did a really good job with Harlequins, and then they did a
Yes.
terrible, terrible job with demons.
Hello.
So hold on, let me just get it so everyone can see that young man on the screen. There we go. Val, you're live to the world. Hello, Val Heffelfinger.
No, he's dead. Look, you can tell he just woke up.
That is, I really like Vermintide 2, the game face. Good morning, world.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ludo narrative dissonance. Yes, Custodians
there we
though,
go.
small model range. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
great job with Harlequins, terrible job with demons. So
They did a mediocre job at best with demons. I feel like they probably got the worst end of it outside of Deathwatch, who got nothing, right? So, well, next to nothing.
yeah, I think, but they also got a terrible codex. So I think I really feel for demons players generally, because you can't even be the best of both worlds. Like, demons in Age of Sigmar are okay. You can play demons pretty well actually, but you can't then go play it in 40k at all. Pete, no, Val, can you hear us?
I can now hear you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
We can.
And we needed to play this game, and we didn't.
No, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I haven't woken up feeling so cool, calm, and collected, and then immediately panicked since like sleeping in on an exam. That was I don't remember last time I felt like that. That was awful.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. You could have just had a sleep. We were rocking. We were so 40k though. Like maybe too much.
I think that's probably why I felt so panicked. I knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've covered most of 40k at this stage.
Well, that's great because I'm here now. We can move on to more important things. I'm sure our audience was just upset about it, and I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry to have let you down and let that kind of happen. Where were we? What did I miss?
We're just
You're
talking
playing-
about
Oh yeah, go on.
There are fun
new
things to talk
releases. We're talking about new releases. We talked about mats. I just said that I'm excited for them. I was trepidatious, 3 or 4 months ago when I kind of heard the rumor that came out. But
Yeah.
now I don't care. Now I think it's great. I hope it's great. I'm cautiously optimistic, as I am always with new releases, and then I can be pessimistic after I see the actual rules. So
So you might be cautiously pessimistic then.
I'm happy. I'm a happy boy. I just had a weird poop before the show started.
Okay.
We talked
Okay.
a little bit about my sex life. We got that out of the way real quick, real early.
We did also talk a lot about Total War, which you missed.
Oh, I
Yeah.
heard. Yeah, Pete. Like apparently he's been playing Total War. He hasn't called me. He hasn't been like, hey Val, you want to play a battle? Hasn't happened. But that's cool. Whatever. I was hanging out with Rob, playing like the most fun video game ever on the weekend. So
I've heard you're a
You
Twitch
don't-
streamer now. Hello? Did you hear
What
me?
happened?
Hello.
Oh,
What happened?
did you hear that I said you're a Twitch streamer now?
Yep, full time. Yep, I've quit my job, and I live on the internet. I have a Patreon. Val's
feel you.
Twitch at patreon.com. It's pretty amazing. I should
don't
have
know if
gone
that's a
no
website.
shirt this morning. I should have gone no shirt.
You
Just
should
kept
have.
my nipples hanging low enough that they would never be on the screen.
They do, and it's
It'd be
really
fine.
weird though. Like
Well, you have low center of gravity nipples.
Yeah, it's been an up and down kind of,
it's an
body
ex-fat man
size.
situation.
Yeah,
It's an ex-fat man situation. It happens to all of us. There comes a point.
Join my Patreon to get me a body lift, everybody. This is a really odd topic. This is a very odd
Listen, you came in. We were talking 40K. Now
Yeah.
it's gone to be what it's supposed to be,
topic. Okay.
which is nipple talk.
Twitch integration feature in Vermintide 2. Didn't know that existed, Colonel Cabbage. By the way, thanks for bailing us out. You were quite the dwarf.
Yeah, we were doing so terribly, Pete, that members of the audience jumped in to help us play.
I've heard.
Yeah.
That's why you didn't want me, because I would have made everything worse, and I would have yelled a lot. So I can't play a game that early in the morning because everyone in the house would have woken up.
I think we had Colonel Cabbage and then some random person. who wasn't as good as Colonel Cabbage. And then me and Rob, and we were dominant. We were in dominant form, crushing
Yeah.
Skaven spells.
But I've changed it up now. I'm not going to be the fire mage anymore because I have a goal. I've got a goal. I want to become the top witch hunter rank because there's a particular fancy hat that I want to wear. And as we know, most
Always
games are
about that
orientated around the fancy hats you can get. So, and I don't want to ruin it now, but eventually you'll be able to see my fancy hat, and it's glorious. That's all I can say. So, very excited for making that happen.
Excellent.
You know what?
Did we have any reveals yesterday?
Art.
Just Fabius Bile.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Fabulous wasn't so fabulous, was he?
He's better than he was on paper. We'll have to see what the chapter tactic is that he gives to if he's your warlord. If it's awesome, then he might be cool. But
Is he even? What legion is he?
Emperor's Children.
Go figure. You learn
But not.
something new every day.
Yeah.
But not
It is-
really. They hate him. They hate him real bad.
Yeah, because he's a horrible, awful like Unit 711 from Japan sort of like monster that like so like all of the Space Marines would just be like, oh, I lost an arm in battle, and then he'd be like, cool, I'm gonna put you a bunch of tentacle dicks on it that spray acid, yeah, and like that's
But it's way better.
Yeah, he looked
Way better. Look what he did to Eidolon. Eidolon was a dick. He did him
Meanwhile-
should have been done.
Meanwhile, in the background, Mad Doc Rotsnick's like, tentacle dicks that spray acid. This is good. This is good stuff.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, that was exactly what's happening.
we'll see those in 2 years, yeah.
But Fabius Bile, yeah, I mean he's a super dick. Even like the Dark Eldar hate him. Everybody hates him, and he's like the one Chaos Space Marine that actually still follows the Imperial edicts because he's like, I don't believe in demons. He talks to them, and he's like, you're not real. You're just imaginary. It's great. I love him. I love the lore model.
Yeah,
See.
I like the
see.
model. I like the model. It's better
We'll
than
see.
the old model. Come on.
It was one of the. Well, they're sticking very close to the aesthetic. Like, no one's
From the,
really
like,
been
old
reinvented.
stuff.
Everyone is exactly the same, just nicer.
Yeah.
I find that interesting because sometimes they do take a little creative license, and so far they have not. It's fine.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I was thinking if they'd done Gazgul, but Gazgul's the same, isn't he? Like he's got the same stuff. He's just
Actually, he is the furthest probably from the OG, I would say. But I specifically, I'm thinking of like Mephiston, Ragnar, this guy, those ones.
Yeah, they're basing it all off like first edition, and
Second- yeah,
whatever
second
they first came in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever they first were released, like pictures, right? So
Why
it
did
feels
they
like
do
if
Dante? I
Oh.
don't get it. Where's Dante?
where's Dante? It's a good question. They should have killed him, even though I'm a Blood Angels fanboy. I think he's done enough. Kill him off.
just let him die. Just
This,
come on.
like
He's
there's
so old.
there are certain things in the
so-
lore where they could do it, and it would be cool if they did it right. I think they had the chance in Blood of Baal, and they didn't. So, or Devastation of Baal, I should say, not Blood of Baal. But
Did anyone actually die when Cadia blew up, or did everyone just magically survive? I think everyone survived.
Yeah.
everyone magically survived in some way. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
there's a couple of people in stasis and a Necron hold, but other
Yeah,
than that,
Trazen got the guy with the cigar.
yeah, you got him.
he got him. Do you think that? Well, I feel like that there's not enough drama in the universe because we know that all the main characters have got plot armor, right? Like they are definitely safe. Which I feel is a bit of a
Let's
shame.
change that up. Change it up. I think the
Yeah.
craziest thing they did in End Times until Age of Sigmar came out and didn't seem to care was they just killed off a bunch of people for Warhammer Fantasy, and I loved it.
Mm.
Like just randomly, big old characters would die in a book, and you'd be like, "What? What is happening?" And
I think they'd probably run into it because I'm sure they still have the. It's a plot. No, it's a setting. It's a plot. No, it's a setting.
Mm.
You know,
Oh,
kind
it's
of
definitely
arguments.
a plot now, isn't it? It's definitely a
It-
plot.
They got a foot on the dock and a foot in the canoe, as they say in Canada.
Mhm.
And it's sort of, it's bad. You
Is
know,
it a whole pile
eventually-
of? Is it a brand new pile of potatoes? This is one of our
It's a
other phrases.
whole ball of potatoes. It's a
Whole
model
new
thing.
sack of potatoes.
Uh, I think I feel like some of the narrative isn't worth reading sometimes because you know that it's going to go nowhere, which is why I think the Horus Heresy is so successful, because you do know that it goes somewhere. You know it goes towards deaths of these major characters.
Yep.
But you can still have all of those characters who even die on the tabletop. So I don't know why that would be. Why don't they just kill off?
We do it in 40K too. They have guys like Captain Tycho that are dead in the lore, that died when they made them the model, and and people play. Well, I mean, no one plays Captain Tycho, but like it's something they could easily do. But they hold to it. I think they could do some really cool things if they would just be willing to let somebody die.
Yeah, and they also they used to have sort of. I felt like there was a bit of a sense of a timeline as well. But now, like the orc characters are the ones that drive me the most nuts, because they are all infinite years old. Like I just made the Mad Doc Grosnick joke. Like how far in the future are we from 39,999 at this point?
At least
like how deep?
400. At least 400 years.
Right. Like how? And like Gazgul was already cruising around for a couple hundred years before that. Like what's his deal? Why is he immortal?
Because he wants to be. I mean, orcs have got even better than because magic. Their argument is always because I want to be, right? Like I am strong. I am the strong.
I'm thinking it.
Yeah. I would like to. I'd like to go to the Gazgul Threkker kind of like, self-motivation, internal reflection seminar. Strength of will. Like mindfulness.
I see where you're going.
Yeah.
Continue.
I feel like he's got a lot of lessons that we could learn a lot of things from. I think he would be my...
Rob, that's a little triggering. One of the things that actually kept me up last night is one of my wife's favorite gurus revealed on Instagram yesterday that she's separating from her husband.
Kendall Jenner?
Yes, Rachel Hollis.
Oh.
Who has written a book, I believe, called Girl, Put On Your Shorts, or something like that.
I feel it. It's a good book.
They're like a power couple, and they tell you about how to like make yourself stronger emotionally and stuff, and they're like, we are no longer a thing. And that's too bad.
Okay. I mean, that's actually almost... Doesn't that destroy all the work they've done up until this point? Like,
it's hard to know. Are they being super honest and like in touch with themselves and being true to their whatever they call that now? Or are they wild hypocrites whose fake lives have crumbled in front of everyone's eyes? I don't know.
A couple columns. I bet it's a little column A, little column B.
It probably is a little bit of all of it.
Did you see the couple who... I mean, this is... I'm laughing because I'm awkward about it. But did you see the couple who...
He's all squeamish. He's like...
Yeah, like, who adopted the child from, I think, China? Who had some mental health issues. Yeah, who had some mental health issues. And then they had their own children. And then abandoned him. But he was the focus of their YouTube channel. They were like, look at us being good parents to this guy, this kid. And then they abandoned him to other parents. Which is, I mean, that if you want grim dark, 40K, you got nothing on that. That's pretty grim.
Well, we are bringing. This really is 40K, Jason. Sure is, pal.
Yeah, you got it. Got it.
And also
kind of
sad.
To bring us there.
Kind of sad. I think it's the fuzzy jackets on my teeth because I ran down here without doing basically any prep work, as you can all see.
I ate a slice of children's pizza and had half a can of Diet Pepsi before joining the show. So,
I also was late. I had to eat a sandwich on the way, and then I've got myself a protein bar. But it's just some of the shops here are open in the UK, so you can now socially distance yourself a coffee that isn't instant. So I'll be doing that after lunch. I don't know why I just chipped in with that. I just wanted to say.
That's great. I wish England had like a national bread like in France, because one of my favorite things about France is watching people in very nice suits like power walking down the streets with a comical baguette and just like munching on it as they like get out of there. Have you not seen that? I've never seen someone like munching on a baguette.
What is the bread of Canada?
Probably a bagel. I'd say. I'd go with a bagel. What do you think? What do you think, Pete?
Yeah, let's go with it. Sorry,
Yeah.
someone made a comment about children pizza being pretty dark. Children's pizza. It wasn't made of children, cabbage. God. It's a small pizza that my daughter made me buy, and she's 3, and she kept screaming, pizza, pizza, pizza. And then she ate the pepperoni off it and threw it on the floor. And I was still hungry this morning. It wasn't still on the floor, but I ate it. So I'm disappointed in myself.
So bagels. I think. Do you know about the Cobb situation that we have in the UK?
The salad?
No. So if you're in, so a bread roll in the UK is, depending on where you are from, called a different thing. So in some places it's a bread roll, some places it's a cob, another place it's a balm. Yeah.
This is that dinner lunch thing going on.
Yeah, tea.
Okay.
Tea. There you go.
Like, how big is your country again?
Like, well,
60
I mean, historically massive.
Yeah, but like currently, it's like the size of a potato, and you have multiple words for the same food.
For the one thing. Oh, there's also another one. There's also BAP. I forgot BAP. That's another name for it. So it's a BAP. So and also it's a little bit awkward because when you go to a greasy spoon, so you travel around the UK.
I'm gonna wade into this debate. I'm going
Okay,
BAP. I think BAP is just a cool
BAP
word.
is-
I'd like to say it more. And much like many terms I pick up on this show, old Hef is gonna be munching on a BAP maybe later.
I do like the barm. I can see a barm in my future.
Barm. That sounds like an East Coast way to say
It is.
something.
It is. And well, because East Coast steals everything from that side of the pond anyway. We want to be back so bad. So.
You know, if you ask your ancestors that, they would not agree with you.
Hey, listen. I'm not
Because
even there anymore. I live in racist Alberta, like Little Texas. So.
Oh yeah, I just got that explained to me, which is just a quick one. The reason that it's a bit of an issue is because if you are traveling the country and you go to a greasy spoon, by the way, is a name that we give to a diner, yeah, but doesn't quite have the charm. Diner would be a classy version of a greasy spoon, I feel.
I agree.
A greasy spoon is a place where you walk in and you say, "I'll have a cup of tea, please." They don't ask you how you're having it. It just has milk and 2 sugars in a styrofoam cup, and that's like you take that away with you.
And they are also upset that you're there. I think that's also the element of the greasy spoon.
Yeah, but when you want a bacon cob, bat balm, or bread roll, or whatever it might be, because you don't know where you are, you're not sure what is going to be acceptable, because whatever you say is going to be wrong. So it's an awkward one. Like, if you're in the wrong place and you say, "Can I have a bacon bat, please?" Are they going to run you out there with pitchforks?
McLeod 113 is claiming BAPs also equal boobs.
It's true.
I think that's something he made up.
No. BAP is a word for boobs.
If I knew that BAP also meant bread roll, I don't know if I'd find that a good term. Maybe you could refer to my boobs as BAPs, probably. I think that's probably very
They are.
appropriate.
I refer to them
Definitely
as mom
BAPy.
slaps.
BAPish. Flapjacks.
Yep.
Okay.
So
40k.
Custodes.
Bacon butt.
Demons.
Yeah, Custodes Demons.
Oh no.
Are you worried that it's going to be like you're hoping it's going to be like Harlequins only, not like the Demons? Because your fellow countryman Jim does not like the Demons, but nor does Pete.
No, they're bad.
No, you said you were going to tell us it was bad, Pete. Tell us the ways in which it's bad.
It was very much like there's no imagination in it. It's just a bunch of garbage stratagems to try and make units that no one was playing better, and it doesn't work. With the exception of the units that were already good. So, like, Keepers of Secrets became even better. The Exalted Keeper of Secrets strats, super. They were already decent. That's
Alexa,
now.
turn on living room.
Oh, not like this.
Alexa, turn on family room.
But like the Greater Unclean One's still bad. People talk up Blood Crushers, the Blood Crusher stratagem. I can't see it ever really being super useful, given how expensive Blood Crushers are. Now, keep in mind this is all 8th edition related. Maybe 9th, they get enough stuff that it doesn't matter. Maybe blood crystals are like 5 points now, and then they're going to be stupid, and everyone will take 100. But like, given what we know, at least from 8th edition, demons is a really bad release. It's unimaginative. There's not a whole lot to it. And the only thing that got better really were the stuff that were already good. And there wasn't a lot of that. So,
hot question from the floor. Perhaps I'll toss it out to Robert Symes.
Hello.
So how does AOS handle demons? Because someone in the chat here is saying demons are super cool in AOS. So like, why are they cooler? What sort of a design philosophy do they have that they don't have in 40K?
It's more of an ecology question than it is like it's the environment that they're in. It's not them inside the environment. Like a Bloodthirst in 40K is like
you're more of a nurture than nature guy, I see.
Yeah, like the game itself is more about how you like the engagements that you're going to choose. There is shooting in Age of Sigmar, don't get me wrong, and there's some pretty potent shooting, but it's still mostly mid-range. And if you're talking 40K, you probably call it short range, especially with it being like reliably effective. And because the game in Age of Sigmar is almost predominantly based around bodies on the board more than anything else, then the game can be like there's a lot more like levers to be pulled, I think, in Age of Sigmar.
So just to translate, to get to some form of substance there, are we saying that demons are essentially the same in both games? They just get their brains blown out in 40K, and that's not as much of an issue in AOS? Really?
Yes.
So like a Bloodthirster is roughly the same in AOS as he is in 40K.
Doesn't summoning work differently in AOS?
Yes, so summoning works different, but Bloodthirsters are pretty crap in Age of Sigmar actually, because they've been given they're not actually as they don't have the output that they would as a 40K Bloodthirster, but there are some mechanics to make them do some extra stuff, sometimes attack twice, etc. But they're actually not. Keepers of Secrets are really good in Age of Sigmar. Flamers, Pink Horrors, Demonettes a bit, I guess. Plague Bearers kind of were, but they're probably not really. Plague Drones maybe in a particular build, but again that's some sort of janky out there stuff. But War Scroll wise, the Nurgle stuff is the oldest book and is not particularly great. The Slaanesh stuff was terrifying. It was on like a 70 to 80% win rate for about 6 months because of summoning, specifically, like Pete pointed out.
So it's the I remember when they were bringing the summoning back, and then I just didn't look in. So it turns out it didn't work out well.
What did you say? Sorry.
Well, just that I remember summoning was supposed to be coming back, and everyone was like, "Oh no!" And then it was a bit of a problem.
In that particular instance, in some of the instances, it's been as well. Like ever since summoning's been out, it's been a bit of it's had a very big impact in the game in the different army builds that have predominantly done well. Whether it be just summoning, but there are still other armies that could compete. It's about late game attrition a lot of the time with the summoning. It's not normally I front load summoning and I put stuff on. It's normally the turn 4/5 summon that grabs an objective that can become a little bit. But with Slaanesh, it was very different because they had a really awful mechanic where for every wound you took or wound you did, you generated a summoning point. So a Keeper of Secrets, when you put it on the table, was already worth half of itself in summoning points. So even if you just killed it, you had enough to half summon a new Keeper of Secrets. So people would run 3, meaning that they've got 1.5 in reserve. And if they did any damage with them, they would be putting 3 or 4. I mean, people were putting 3 or 4 back on the table very comfortably for a while. But again, Age of Sigmar is very different. 40K, they would have just been blown off the board. I don't know, Pete. Do the Keeper of Secrets do quite well? Interestingly,
it's actually super tanky.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you can get through the first round, he can be.
It's your first round. So the Keeper of Secrets list was essentially, after the Space Marine Codex came out, the only demons list that functioned competitively. There was one at least at LVO that did very well. Cody Brown from the Hooded Goblin ran it, and I think he went 4-0 before he got his first loss. It won a couple small GTs, went undefeated in Australia. We had a great clip from a dude in Australia that won an event with it where we asked him a secret, and he was like, "Oh, I just walk up the board and kill things." But he said it, but he also said it in like a Weasley way, like he was like Mr. Burns and he was doing this. But yeah, like it was a list that functions. If you can get across the board, it'll kill everything because they're blenders and they get decently tanky. I shouldn't say they get decently tanky for a greater demon if they can survive that first round. And they're so fast that you really only have one round to kill as many of them as you can on the right table. So yeah, and that's what I was saying, where they made Keeper of Secrets better in this book, and that's really the one thing that if we were still playing 8th edition right now, Keeper of Secrets list would be legit. But I think that would be the only thing you'd get out of demons.
Yeah,
I'd like to shout out Dave Frauser. He says 40k sounds good. I quite fancy being blown off the board.
The other really interesting thing parity-wise, so Bloodthirsters suck, Age of Sigmar 40k. I think that's fair. Great and Clean ones are, as Pete said, Great and Clean ones in Age of Sigmar are viable, but they're a support piece. But they're a very big, expensive support piece. I don't know if that's the same in Age of Sigmar.
It's the same in 40k. The problem is they're so expensive that it's not worth it at all. They are exactly that, a support piece that you're paying way too much points for, and it's so slow that it's hard to move it up the board.
Well, but the interesting one, the Contorted Epitome, is possibly Epitome. The Epitome is possibly the best war scroll in Age of Sigmar. Probably Croak has pushed it out now, but the Contorted Epitome, isn't it also really decent in 40k?
Yes, it's absolutely stupid in 40k. They had a FAQ.
Oh no, Pete.
Oh no.
Oh no.
We have to stop talking about 40k now. So I heard that cucumbers taste better pickled.
That can't be possibly true. That can't possibly be true.
That's impossible.
Thinks you're going to tell me eggs are better when they're pickled. That's gross.
Have you ever had a pickled egg, though? That is just a lie. That is a blatant lie. Whereas, I mean, cucumbers are probably, I mean, let's face it, cucumbers are probably as good pickled and not pickled.
I don't think I want anything in my life to be pickled, because we no longer live in an age where pickling is a necessary process. There's not someone who's like got some vegetables like, oh, babe, we need to eat these before they go off, and they go, well, why don't we just pickle them and save all them for later? Yeah, that's not a modern conversation, is it?
Vulcanus claims that his laptop decided it was done for today. Getting back to the thrilling topic of preserves, you do look like a man who may have briefly experimented with preserving things. It was a bit of a hipster niche for some time.
Was it?
Yeah. Canning stuff here was a big deal. Like I remember, it was a very popular pastime. For a little while, people would bring hostess gifts over to your house, and it was something that they had pickled. This is not something you do.
No. But to be fair, I'm not.
Pig's feet.
I'm like
War Master 2026. I'm going with pig's feet are the worst thing I can think of pickled.
Well, surely. What the worst thing you can think of being pickled is obviously the placenta after a child is born.
Wow, that is. Huh. Well, you
some people cook that. Some people cook that. I think Pete's back, which is exciting. I'll just make sure he's in the call. I think
I'm just gonna hit him cold with this. I'm gonna hit him super cold with this right when he hops in.
Well,